Jeff Goldblum's deadpan delivery and glistening chest are almost as important to Jurassic Park as those amazing CGI reptiles. But to get the role of wisecracking chaos theorist Ian Malcolm, Goldblum had to fight off more than just dinosaurs. So who else was up for the role? The first Avenger, one of the biggest roles of the decade and the biggest franchise on the planet, so it's no surprise the hottest up-and-comers at the time answered the Captain America casting call. So who else was almost considered worthy enough to play the patriotic super soldier?
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
Ant-Man may be small in stature, but he was a huge role to fill when Marvel set out to make the first movie 8 years ago. Here are 4 actors who came within an inch, or something like that.
First off, I'm a big fan.
2018 marks the 30th anniversary of Die Hard and the introduction of John McClane to moviegoers. He's one of the most iconic action heroes ever, which makes it all the more insane how many massive stars passed on playing him. Yippee-ki what?
Come to the coast, we get together, have a few laughs.
Tom Cruise has played some of the most iconic movie roles of all time.
I feel the need for speed. Ow!
But you won't believe how many more classic parts he turned down.
I got exactly what you asked for. Did you want something else?
Before Goldblum landed the job, some of the most famous actors of the 80s and 90s were considered. Johnny Depp, fresh off Edward Scissorhands, but before Pirates,
I got a job to death.
was in contention. So was superhero Michael Keaton,
I'm Batman.
as well as time traveler Michael J. Fox.
Jesus Christ, Doc, you disintegrated Einstein.
And they could handle a baby, but could they handle baby dinosaurs?
Will somebody please tell me what the hell is going on around here?
Yes, both Ted Danson and Steve Guttenberg, the Goot, were circled for the role. But of all those legends, it was an upstart comedian who came closest to getting the gig, Jim Carrey.
You love me. You really love me.
At the time, he was mostly known for In Living Color, but Carrey came this close to booking the blockbuster based on what the casting director called a, quote, terrific audition. Of course, Carrey went on to become one of the biggest actors of the time, with Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber, and The Mask all hitting theaters the following year.
Alrighty then.
As if beating out all that competition wasn't enough, Goldblum still had to do some persuading.
That is one big pile of
Director Steven Spielberg was considering combining the Ian Malcolm role into the Dr. Alan Grant part played by Sam Neill before Goldblum convinced him otherwise.
Life finds a way.
And lucky for us, he did. Jurassic Park made over $1 billion at the box office worldwide. Goldblum reprised the role in Jurassic Park 2, and now, 21 years later, he returns in Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom.
Oh, there it is.
The road to Steve Rogers, which began casting in early 2010, begins with Channing Tatum, fresh off playing another patriotic soldier in G.I. Joe.
I get to go again because you talked.
We all know Channing can swing his sword, but could he handle the shield? There are reports he made it down to the final 3, but close only counts in hand grenades. Grenade! Another rising action star at the time, Garrett Hedlund, was approached for the role.
Now this I can do.
But he turned it down to focus on his own franchise, Tron. Crash star Ryan Phillippe was also reportedly a finalist.
Do you want to die here? Huh? Is that what you want?
And several small screen stars were considered, including the seemingly left field choice of John Krasinski, long before he was Jack Ryan or his turn as a silent movie star. The Office star got so far as a costume audition, but once he crossed Chris Hemsworth in his Thor getup,
I am the god of thunder!
Krasinski pulled himself from the running, noting, quote, "This is stupid. I'm not Captain America."
Nope.
Other small screen stars considered for the 2011 movie: Gossip Girl's Chase Crawford, One Tree Hill's Chad Michael Murray, Supernatural's Jensen Ackles, Chuck's Ryan McPartlin, Smallville's Michael Cassidy, and Friday Night Lights' Scott Porter.
Cause I'm crippled and I want to listen to Nirvana.
So clear eyes, full hearts can lose. Another Gossip Girl alum, Sebastian Stan, was also a candidate, but was chosen to play Bucky Barnes in the franchise instead.
What did I do?
Which leads us to a handsome and affable actor who had broken out in the thriller Cellular, Chris Evans.
I got what you're looking for.
Although he actually turned down Captain America several times, and for good reason, he was already a superhero. Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four.
Now picture that. But everywhere.
Evans, of course, came around and has played the part in 8 massive blockbusters. And we all know the fate of the character is unknown.
I understood that reference.
Ant-Man was originally set to be directed by Edgar Wright, who had said he wanted an everyman for the role. So the assumption was he would re-team with his longtime collaborator, Simon Pegg.
I'm gonna check if the coast is clear.
Ultimately, Pegg didn't get the part, but don't feel too bad for him. He was in a little movie called The Force Awakens instead. And speaking of Star Wars, rumors also swirled around another actor from across the pond, Ewan McGregor, who already had a franchise.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oscar-winning actor Adrian Brody was also reportedly in contention and told reporters while promoting Predators that he was, quote, enthusiastic about the role.
Who are you?
Hi, I'm Scott.
Of course, Ant-Man was always meant to be more comedic.
That was a lot scarier a second ago.
And a report from late 2013 said the decision was down to Paul Rudd and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, whom Marvel had looked at to play Star-Lord Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dance off, bro. Me and you.
In the end, Ultimate Everyman Rudd landed the role, and although Wright left the project, Ant-Man earned solid reviews and made nearly $520 million worldwide at the box office under new director Peyton Reed.
What, you haven't heard of me?
Not bad for the funny man scene stealer from Anchorman, or 40-year-old virgin, or I Love You Man, or Clueless.
They've done studies, 60% of the time, it works every time.
Rudd, who also has a writing credit on Ant-Man, has reprised the character in Captain America: Civil War.
Wow, this is awesome. Captain America. I know you too. You're great.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp, which he also co-wrote. And he's reportedly returning for the next Avengers. Talk about excellent casting.
Does anyone have any orange slices?
The first to turn down the role is also the hardest to imagine navigating Nakatomi Plaza, one of the biggest celebrities of the 20th century, old Blue Eyes himself, Frank Sinatra. He was 72 at the time. Although not widely known, Die Hard is actually based on Roderick Thorpe's 1979 novel Nothing Lasts Forever, which is a sequel to 1966's The Detective. And because Sinatra starred in that movie, he was contractually attached to the sequel, but quickly passed.
You're gonna see the goddamnedest explosion gonna tear this nation right down the middle.
Another actor attached early was the legendary Clint Eastwood, who had optioned the movie rights to Nothing Lasts Forever and planned to star in the early 80s, but it never got off the ground.
Go ahead. Make my day.
When director John McTiernan came on board, his first 2 choices for McClane were dramatic actors: Al Pacino, who had earned 5 Oscar nominations so far, and Richard Gere, who was Golden Globe nominated a few years prior for An Officer and a Gentleman. Both passed, so the producers went out to, basically every action star ever at the time. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, James Caan, and Burt Reynolds. Other actors rumored to have been offered the role include Harrison Ford, Robert De Niro, Charles Bronson, Nick Nolte, Mel Gibson, Don Johnson, and MacGyver himself, Richard Dean Anderson.
Welcome to the party, pal!
One actor not initially considered was moonlighting star Bruce Willis, who was known only as a comedic actor at the time.
So let's talk about Yale. Let's talk about Princeton.
What about Yale and Princeton?
Couple of great schools.
Of course, that all changed when the John McClane part fell to him, and his wisecracking bravado turned Die Hard into an instant classic.
Thanks for the advice.
Making $140 million at the domestic box office and spawning 4 sequels, all starring Willis.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother.
Cruise, who has been busy saving the world as Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible, turned down one of the biggest superhero roles ever, saying no to Iron Man.
I'm the best.
He wanted to be more involved in the production and was quoted saying, "I need to be able to make decisions."
Doth mother know you weareth her drapes?
It's safe to say Cruise and, of course, Marvel have both done just fine, as is the case with most of the movies the actor almost took on, but it's still fun to see what could have been.
Show me the money!
In the early 80s, after dancing around in his undies in Risky Business, Cruise was offered arguably the biggest dance movie ever, Footloose. Alas, he was already attached to All the Right Moves. A few years later, Tim Burton was making Edward Scissorhands and met with Cruise, who was the studio's clear choice. The famed director said he was, quote, interesting, but that it worked out for the best. Not that Tom Cruise is short on career-making roles, but he could have had so many more, like The Shawshank Redemption in Tim Robbins' role, Ghost in Patrick Swayze's role, Wall Street in Charlie Sheen's role, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button in Brad Pitt's role, The Talented Mr. Ripley in Matt Damon's role, A Beautiful Mind in Russell Crowe's role, which he left to star in Vanilla Sky, and Indecent Proposal, which he and then-wife Nicole Kidman were pursuing before they went to Woody Harrelson in Demi Moore.
Portia, there is no substitute.
And then there were the action movies that got away, like literally Speed. Others included John Carter, I Am Legend and Enemy of the State, both of which became Will Smith movies, and Salt, which ended up going to Angelina Jolie when Cruise picked Night and Day instead. That's a lot of what ifs, but it's hard to argue with one of the most successful careers in Hollywood.
Yeah, baby.